Hi, welcome to the Gift of Knowing. I am your hostess, OMENA, and today we're here with Christine, and we're going to discuss everything about the soul. So, welcome to the show, Christine. It's really good having you here.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
And what would you like to know about the soul?
Well, I have questions about what is a soul contract?
Well, it's not much different than you'd have a normal contract on earth. A soul contract has to do with setting up your life stream and the lessons you want to learn. So sometimes you'll already have made that contract with souls that are gone before you, that reincarnated, or you're going to do it all together and then you're all going to reincarnate at different times to carry out that contract. It's all about soul growth in a spiritual sense. So the contracts help us. We ask somebody, well, will you play this role? Will you play that role? Because these are the lessons I need to learn.
Okay. So it's normal for people to have multiple soul contracts in their lifetime.
Well, it wouldn't be normal, no, because you wouldn't be able to handle multiples because you're in a body and there's an ego and there's free will. So if you had multiple, that would be just where you wouldn't be able to concentrate on multiple.
Oh, okay.
Soul lessons are work.
Okay.
It's like if you're going to go to college and be a doctor, you're going to have to put a lot of time into and learn an awful lot. That's just an example of you're going to have it planned out. While soul contracts plan out what lessons you want to learn, but it doesn't mean it's always going to happen because you have free will that gets into it
Okay.
and all kinds of things happen.
Okay. So how do soul contracts influence our lives?
Well, it depends on the individual, what development stage the soul is at, how important their soul growth is to them, and then you have free will. You have the ego of the personality that gets into it, and they use free will whether they want to do it or don't want to do it. Soul contracts for soul growth are usually very challenging.
Can you have the same contract over multiple lifetimes?
If you don't achieve the goal, yes, you have to
Okay.
just repeat it.
Oh.
You might have different souls playing different roles for you. The goal is that you want to achieve a certain level of growth, and you have to be challenged in order to be able to grow.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you don't achieve it, you're going to keep doing it until you do.
Can you provide examples of soul contracts for, like, maybe people in history that would...
Well, I don't think I could do it for anybody in history because they're not asking me.
Okay, what about for me?
You're asking me, do you have a soul contract? Well, for example, I think I told you this before, I'm not sure. You came in as an adolescent soul,
Okay.
and the family that you came into, there was enough people in it to, I think most of them probably treated you like a baby rather than an adult, and some of them still do. Well, the lesson in that whole thing would be for you to prove that you're not an adolescent soul anymore, that you've grown, and you have. In the last 20 years, you've grown a lot.
Definitely.
So the contract would be that, for example, your father would play a certain role in it, your mother would play a certain role in it, and then siblings would play certain roles in it to teach you different lessons about maybe acceptance, about feeling okay about yourself, those kind of things, about learning to stand in your own power. The contract would be that they would, what might appear to be that they're putting you down or judging you. That's to force you to stand in your own power and not take it personally.
Right, right, which is easier said than done.
That's because of the ego of the personality. People have to learn how to detach. That's the biggest thing. They have to learn how to detach and not take it personally. Because it's not personally. It's meant to wake you up a little bit.
Right.
And that's what contracts do. For example, you might find some families, I'm not talking about you, some families a soul come in that really needs to not take things personally, stand in their own power, but had a very hard time doing it in other lifetimes, they might pick an abusive mother and an alcoholic father.
Oh, okay. Right.
And for that child to grow in that environment, they can be either traumatized or they can rise above it. And you find that in families all the time. Some are totally traumatized by it. That might be part of the contract. To still force them to grow. Because if they've been refusing to grow many lifetimes or do the work, they're going to make it harder.
Right.
To try and wake them up and to trust.
You recently had told me, I think I've grown from out of that adolescent stage into more of an adult.
Yeah, you're in the young adult stage. I think you're on the third rung of the young adult stage.
Wow. So
Yeah.
there's different levels of...
There's seven levels to each soul growth.
Okay.
You have the infant, the toddler, the infant, toddler, then you have the pre-adolescent, the adolescent, the young soul, then you have that growth into the old soul.
Okay.